This happened to me when I was around 10 years old. My two cousins, Jake and Sarah, and I were going to our local movie theater not too far away from where I lived. My two cousins were a lot older than me, 16 and 20, so I'd have supervision when I went with them. The movie theater we were going to was not as big as the ones you would normally go to. You could expect up to 10 to 15 people on weeknights and 30 to 50 people on weekends at this theater. In this case, however, it was a weeknight, which meant that there weren't as many people there. Anyway, we were directed to Theater 3 and got our seats. There were only a few families in this theater, so not a lot of people. Eventually, as the previews were playing, I saw some random guy leaning against the wall just staring at everyone. I brushed it off, thinking that he was maybe looking for someone he knew, or maybe looking for where he was going to sit. About a minute later, the man left and I thought nothing of it. But there was something quite off about the way he was dressed, and the way he looked. He didn't look like the person you would expect to see at a movie theater. He looked homeless and tired, and he wore dirty clothes. I decided not to tell my cousins about him, as they do get a little too worried about things. So, fast forward 30 minutes later, I asked my cousins if I could use the restroom and they said yes, but to come right back. I exited the screening room and walked over to the bathroom and did my business. A few seconds later, I heard the door to the women's restroom open. I figured that it was just another girl or woman using the restroom, but when I looked up to the stall door, I could see someone peeking in from the crack of the stall door. I screamed and pulled up my pants and ran out of there and back to the screening room. I began crying, and once I had gotten back to the room, everyone was looking at me with confused looks. My two cousins got up and came over to me and asked what was wrong. I had told them everything. My two cousins told me to follow them and that we were leaving. As soon as we were exiting the room, I saw the man and told him that that was the man who was looking at me through the bathroom. My older cousin runs and charges at the man while yelling out things like, "I'm gonna kill you," along with threats and profanity. The man unfortunately got away, but we spoke with police and the staff at the theater to keep an eye out for him. Once we got home, my two cousins received some criticism from my parents, along with my cousin's parents as well. After that incident, I wasn't allowed to walk to the bathroom alone until I was 12, and I also couldn't hang out with my two cousins until I was 14. So, yeah, that's my story. When I was about 7 years old, I was at a friend's birthday party. We went to the local cinema with a group of 6 other kids, my friend and her mother. I had to go use the bathroom during the movie, and I told her mom, assuming she'd come with me, because even then, I knew going places alone as a child could be dangerous. She didn't go with me. I went to the bathroom alone, and I must mention, this was a small local cinema which was really old and most of the time empty. Not like those regular theaters that nowadays always have people bustling about. Anyway, on the way to the bathroom, I saw some guy leaning against the concession counter, seemingly with nothing to do. I thought maybe he was just waiting for his kid to come out of the bathroom or something. At this place, the bathroom was one small room that was separated into 2 stalls for men and 2 stalls for women. The guy came in about a minute after me. I could see a shadow under the door of the stall I was in. He was walking back and forth outside it. He shouldn't have been over on the woman's side, and no one else was in the bathroom with us, so I started panicking. I stayed in there for a couple of minutes because I was too scared to go out. He eventually left, so I decided to go back. When I walked out of the bathroom, he was standing there blocking the doorway, standing with his arms and legs spread out like he was ready to grab me and scoop me up. My heart started racing. He was more than twice my size, and I was terrified. I thought fast enough to jump through the gap between his legs. I skidded on the carpet and burned my knees, but I got up fast as I could and ran back to the screen the party was at. I wish it ended there. That night at home, I remember hiding this baby doll I had because I thought the guy was going to come for me and I wanted to protect her. My mom noticed me acting weird and asked what was wrong. I blurted out that a man tried to grab me when I was at the cinema. She kind of brushed it off, but I think she was trying to act like nothing was wrong for my sake, though I saw it in her eyes that she was worried. Later, I heard her and my dad talking, and she came in to ask me what the guy looked like. She asked, "Did he have a black mustache?" He did. "Did he have messy hair?" He did. But how did she know these things? Turns out, he was at our house earlier that day replacing a window and must have heard my mom and me talking about the party. I don't know what he was planning on doing if he grabbed me. Kidnapping me? Something else? I'm just glad he didn't. A few weeks ago, my boyfriend and I went to go see a movie together at our local cinema. I can't remember what movie we saw, but I think it was Annabelle. Eventually, during the movie, I got up to go get some of that addictive, overpriced popcorn at the concession stand. While I was waiting in line, I noticed a man looking in my direction from another line. He was an older man, I'd say maybe around his 30s. I really thought nothing of it, as there were some creeps around the area, so I was pretty used to people like this. Anyway, I got the popcorn for me and my boyfriend and started making my way towards the screening room. I, for some reason, looked behind me and saw the man walking behind me. Not wanting to be rude and give him a sign that I was creeped out by him, I kept my distance and casually walked the rest of the way to the screening room. I went back to my seat and told my boyfriend about the man. He said not to worry about it and to just leave him alone. So, fast forward about an hour later, the movie had ended and we had walked out of the theater and started walking towards our car. It was very dark out, so there were no lights around and it was hard to see. As we were walking to the car, my boyfriend put his arm in front of me to block me from moving. I asked my boyfriend what was wrong, but he just stayed there staring in the direction of our car. I noticed that his eyes were open wide as if he were scared. I looked to the car, and in the back seat, I could see someone in our car. So I of course start freaking out and telling my boyfriend to run. My boyfriend called the police, and when they arrived, we told them everything and they got the man out of the car. However, there was something familiar about the man. That's when it hit me. It was the exact same man that followed me. He was arrested and was taken away. I have absolutely no idea as to how he got in our car, but I'm sure I don't want to know.